New format for the second round of competition in each 2022 X Trial. We'll see the scores from the preliminary run carry over for each rider. So that means that Benoit Bincaz, Jaime Busto and Toby Martin have been left with a sizable margin to recover here. Only the top three after the opening 2 rounds combined can qualify to the final. First up to tackle 5 sections in 5 minutes here in round 2 will be Toby Martin. He was 6th in round 1 with a 13-mark score. Make that 14 now after a mark for leaning on the opening step there of section number 1. Toby Martin, the 21-year-old from Cornwall, is the youngest rider in tonight's field. This only his 5th X Trial appearance, made his debut as a wildcard, of course, in the 2020 campaign. He's a permanent rider in 2022, as he was back in November of last year. Main step already accomplished by Toby Martin. He now moves up to join his minder Alex Wigg, the descent, and then the run to the exit gate as we ride on board with Wigg now. Martin dropping down, and he drops out as well. The back tyre coming out of the section, exceeding course boundaries. That's a 5-mark score for Toby Martin, and he was looking so assured in the early stages of section 1. That will be a frustration for him because he was as close as you like to the exit gate. Martin then with a 5-mark score in section 1. That's 18, including his 13-mark total from round number 1. Of course, Martin laying down the gauntlet here to his rivals as he makes his way now into section 2. This is the biggest step of the section. It's just under 2 metres, and as you can see, the ramp slides away from the riders. Martin trying to position himself carefully, almost teetering over to the right, and has to take a dab with his right foot in order to steady the ship. So it's now or never, you fancy, for Toby Martin. Up he goes, and he's done it! Toby Martin has conquered the most challenging looking element of this section number 2, and he could be in line for what would be an excellent result in this one. Finished his round 1 run with back-to-back fiascos. He started this round 2 with a 5-mark score as well, but he's through in section 2. Just a single dab for Toby Martin while he was steadying himself before the main jump of that section, which he made with some real flying effort there, avoiding taking any marks for leaning either. So it's 6 marks from 2 sections for Toby Martin. That's 19 for the 2 rounds so far combined. Big step to open section 3. And again, Toby Martin doesn't appear to be daunted by this level of competition. His first appearance, remember, in the second round of a World Championship X Trial. He was only a permanent rider for the first time in November of last year. He was 8th out of 9 in both of his appearances. Guaranteed at least 6th position here today, and he's looking for better on the evidence of what we've seen so far. Another nice piece of work from Toby Martin, up to the highest point in this section 3 now, that cylinder. One final jump. He's still in line to be clean here in section 3. Toby Martin has done it, a first clean of his second run, so still 6 marks and 19 overall for the 2 laps combined, and 2 sections still remain for Toby Martin. Well, if Martin's total score by the end of this run were to be 27 marks or more, he'd already be ruled out of contention for a place in today's final with such a low-scoring first lap from the top 3. That's going to be a mark there for Toby Martin on leaning. Just looks over to FIM section observer Moreno Piazza, just to keep himself abreast of the current situation. Toby Martin then a single dab moves on to 7, and that's 20 combined. So if he gets out of one of these 2 remaining sections, at least he'll remain in mathematical contention for a place in the final. Realistically, you fancy, his battle is with the likes of Bincaz and Busto. He was within 5 marks of both of them on the opening lap, and he's looking good in his second run as well. Another single dab there in section 4 brings him on to a subtotal of 7 for round 2 and a combined total of 20. 2021's Trial 2 world champion then, Toby Martin, looking the best we've ever seen him so far in the X-Trial World Championship. Takes a single dab in the early stages of Section 5, and that's going to be a disappointing finish to the lap for him. After such a strong ride, Toby Martin falls out of the section midway through, and he's well inside on time. Perhaps a little bit precipitous there in the last section of his run. He finishes on a 12-mark total for round 2. Next up, Jaime Busto, the first of 3 Spaniards on show this evening. From the Basque Country, in his case, of course, the world number 3 in 2018, 19 and last season. The man tipped to take over at the top from the likes of Tony Beau and Adam Raga. While Busto could only manage 5th position in the opening round, 2 marks ahead of Toby Martin. Martin managed a 12-mark score for this second round, so Busto will be looking for better than that and certainly needs to keep his score as low as possible, bearing in mind that he ended round 1 9 marks down on Adam Raga in 3rd position. Only the top 3, remember, moved through to today's grand final. So Jaime Busto, so far so good in section number 1. Just gets the bike up onto the back wheel to make the latest step. And now it is the descent, and this is where Toby Martin was caught out for a 5-mark score in section 1. So Busto will take a slightly different approach, gets the front wheel a little bit further forward, and then pads backwards to the position he wants to be in for this final leap to exit section number 1, all the while maintaining the back tyre within the course boundaries, which is where Toby Martin slipped up. So Busto through in section number 1, a single mark score there moves him on to a total of 12. And that compares to 18 at the same stage for Toby Martin, who failed at section number 1. Not a good start, though, to section 2 for Busto. And he's got himself rather wedged on the top of that first A-frame. Didn't get the height on the initial step and landed it on the sump. He's managed to remain in contention, though, in section 2. And with just a single mark from that initial step, not quite going his way. Young Jaime Busto now facing the biggest step of this second section. Toby Martin got so much height, he breeze through it, but this is where the riders are expected to struggle, and Jaime Busto has duly come down for a 5-mark score. So his first fiasco of his second run, 6 marks from 2 sections, the same as Toby Martin at the same stage. Busto's failure there, something of a surprise, particularly after Toby Martin showed the way, and Busto now sits on 17 marks after 2 completed sections of this second round. And Busto in trouble again on the very first step of section 3, and he's scrabbling around with both feet, and that's going to be a failure for Jaime Busto, because there was the initial mark for leaning, a foot which he was moving around, and then the left foot went down as well. So back-to-back fiascos for Jaime Busto, who is now in real trouble. Section number 4 coming up next, 4 of 5, remember, and just 3 marks now to play with for Jaime Busto to try and remain ahead of Toby Martin. Any further fiascos, and he'll be out of the running for a place in the final. Single mark dropped to leaning in the early stages of this one, section number 4. So only 2 marks to play with now for Jaime Busto, who's certainly under pressure. He's also got to think about time that's ticking away, although those failures in the early stages of section 3 in particular, but also section 2, have left him with a fair chunk in the bank. As Jaime Busto comes through to the completion now of section number 4. Just section 5 to go. He sits on 23, and 25 was Toby Martin's finishing total, or after the 2 opening rounds combined. So Busto still 5th, 2 marks ahead of Toby Martin, who failed this section 5, and Busto can afford a single mark here. If he drops 2, though, he'll slip behind Martin on countback, because of course he has a worse round 2 record. So far, so good for Jaime Busto, but I said that after the first section as well. This has not been a day to remember for him, a rider who's been an X-Trial winner, of course, back in Paris in 2018. Doesn't look as though he's going to be a contender for the grand final here today. Benoit Bincaz making his gas debut tonight, just 6 weeks on from signing for the manufacturer, ending a 3-season spell with Better, and a comeback from a series of injuries in the last 18 months as well. A broken elbow in September 2020, a broken hand a month later, and then a herniated disc in his back at the start of 2021 that cost him the last X-Trial season. 4th position after the opening rounds here in Nice, and looking to remain ahead of Jaime Busto, see if he can bridge any of that gap to the top 3. Efficient work so far from Benoit Bincaz. The descent, though, it was that caught out Toby Martin, and so too it will catch out Benoit Bincaz, but only for a single mark for footing, the right foot going down there, as you can see, for the number 73, Benoit Bincaz, who now has a straight route through to the exit gate, and looking set to notch just a single mark in section 1, matching the efforts of Jaime Busto before him. And Benoit Bincaz, who came into this second round a single mark clear of Busto, as a clear target of trying to match the Spaniard over the course of his second run. In now to section 2 for Benoit Bincaz, very much a home man in these parts, of course, lives just 40 kilometres away in the mountains northwest of here. This is the venue where he secured his first FIM medal of silver at the 2016 X Trial of Nations with France. This is the main step then of section 2. We saw Jaime Busto crash down to a failure here. Toby Martin, though, showed us the way. Benoit Bincaz, though, can't follow him. And down he goes to a 5-mark score in section number 2. So Bincaz on to 6 marks from 2. That's a total of 16. It's one ahead of where Jaime Busto was at the same stage after the 5 completed sections from round 1 plus the first 2 of round 2. 6 marks, the same score as Martin and Busto managed in the opening 2 sections. How about section 3 now? Jaime Busto failed this one. Toby Martin, by contrast, was clean, so we know that it can be done. Benoit Bincaz will be looking to prove that here. Big step here. He sets himself up at the bottom of the A-frame. He'll use it to try and catapult himself up to the top. He takes a mark for leaning, clacks into the sump there at the top of the cylinder. And really, the performances of first Jaime Busto and now Benoit Bincaz are serving to underline what a great night it's been so far for Toby Martin. Not out of it yet, albeit unlikely to progress through to today's grand final, Martin, particularly after being pipped by Jaime Busto. And Benoit Bincaz still looking good to beat Martin as well. But it's been competitive between positions 4 and 6. Disastrous start to section 4 for Benoit Bincaz, and he's out of the course boundaries. And that's going to be a 5-mark score right at the very start. Benoit Bincaz got caught on the first step, didn't get the reach that he might have hoped for. And as he tried to jump back down for a second attempt, the front wheel went out of the course boundaries altogether. Bincaz then down to a 5-mark score, his second fiasco of the lap. That leaves him in a precarious position. He must remain clean through this section 5 in order to hold on to 4th position ahead of Jaime Busto. The pair tied in this second round so far. So Bincaz on 22 to Busto's 23, factoring in scores from their first runs. Straightforward for Bincaz. He's got to remain clean if he's to stay ahead of Jaime Busto in the pecking order. Bincaz then into the trunks in this section 5 under a great deal of pressure. Long absence from extra competition, even longer absence from extra competition here in France. Looking to put on a show for the spectators here in the Palais Nicaea tonight is Benoit Bincaz. His assistant just keeping him abreast of the time constraints. Bincaz's early failure in section 4 hasn't left him under a great deal of pressure. Just one final twist now towards the exit gate. Still a technical challenge with curved surfaces to negotiate for Bincaz towards the exit here. Moments away from completing his run, and Bincaz has taken a mark. A single mark for leaning in section number 5. Bincaz then drops behind Jaime Busto and into 5th place. The top 3 from round 1 still to come then, and given that they finished with at least an 8-mark margin to their nearest rivals after their first runs, it's hard to imagine they'd not progressed to the final. Adam Raga, for example, sits on just 2 marks. That puts him 21 clear of Jaime Busto in 4th. Raga, the veteran 39-year-old, making his 138th X Trial appearance this evening. That puts him just 1 away from matching Takisa Fujinami's all-time record. 2 A-frames to negotiate here that have been the only real challenges of this section so far. We saw Toby Martin failing on the descent. Jaime Busto and Benoit Bincaz both dropping a single mark. It's going to be 2 for Raga. As you can see, his left foot down. He's also taken 1 there for leaning. Thankfully for Raga, though, the descent successful. And now he just needs to safely negotiate the exit gate of section number 1. 2 marks here, then 1 more than either Busto or Bincaz managed. And already, if Raga gets through any of the 4 remaining sections, he'll be able to confirm his place in today's grand final. Such was his margin of advantage after the opening round, and such the struggles of Jaime Busto and Benoit Bincaz, both of whom failed 2 sections apiece. Section number 2, and this is one of them for Busto and Bincaz. They failed at this very step. Raga then positioning himself carefully to try and match the efforts of Toby Martin. We've seen it can be done. Martin did it with aplomb, and I don't think we realised at the time just what an achievement that was. As Adam Raga takes a first draft, as it were, at this section 2. He's going to go for a second attempt now. Only got the front wheel halfway up the 2 metres. Around facing away from this step. Raga leaps up. He gets the sump up onto the crest of the section, but then he tumbles back down to a 5-mark score. That is Adam Raga's first fiasco of the night, and that puts him on to 7 marks after 2 sections. 2 single dabs in round number 1, so his cumulative total is 9. 3 sections still to go for Adam Raga, and I repeat, if he makes it through any of them, he will be through to tonight's grand final. The target total is 23, set by Jaime Busto and Benoit Bincaz. Of course, on countback, it's Busto who takes 4th position as things stand. First step successfully negotiated for Adam Raga. This next one is the one that caught out Benoit Bincaz for a mark. Raga, though, is up on the back wheel. Nice work from Adam Raga. One final step to come, and then the descent to the exit gate of section number 3. Adam Raga is through. Brilliant work from him. First clean of the second round, and that is enough to see him through, confirmed to today's grand final. From here, it's just about keeping his score as low as possible and trying to battle for the World Championship points available to the top finisher in round number 2. Of course, he'll have one eye on seeding position for the opening section of the grand final as well. Adam Raga then making light work of the rocks here in section 4, the penultimate section of this second round. We will be seeing Adam Raga again in today's grand final. Still wait for confirmation as to who will be his competitors. You'd have to fancy Grattarola and Beau. Single mark for leaning in the first half of this penultimate section for Adam Raga. So that moves him on to 8 marks now for this run, and a 10-mark total at the end of section number 4. Strong effort from Adam Raga and a good recovery after that failure in section 2. Now on to the trunks, the final section of this second round. Raga, remember, nursing an 8-mark score at present. Needs to keep it as low as possible, knowing that Grattarola and Beau both enjoyed a very low-scoring first lap here in Nice. Adam Raga, X-Trials all-time highest point scorer, now certain to pass the 1,600 mark for career points after tonight. 4 times a world champion, of course. He's been runner-up to Tony Beau in each of the last 7 years and wants to apply the pressure again in 2022, even at the veteran stage of his career. Raga taking his time here. Thankfully for him, he's banked plenty of it earlier on in the rounds, particularly after his failure in section number 2. And Raga with some real dexterity at the end of section 5. Matteo Grattarola could secure his place in the final as early as his opening ride. If he can get through this one with a single mark or better, that would mean a first career podium for him as well. Just a single mark in round 1. That's another in the early stages of section 1 here in round 2 for leaning. Didn't quite get the reach or indeed the turn that he was hoping for in mid-air. And he's had to do it on the back wheel now. He ploughs on through section 1. That's going to be another mark for leaning. This time the sump catching the crest of the section. And Grattarola can continue to work his way forward, but only now is he tackling the 2 A-frames that have cost previous riders their marks in this section. On the back wheel goes Grattarola, lands it on the sump again. That's 3 marks now for leaning. Any further drop marks in this section 1, and it will be a first failure of the night for Matteo Grattarola. And there it is. It is a fiasco for Matteo Grattarola in section 1. He started the descent, slipped off the side, caught it on the sump, and added a dab of the left foot for good measure. And a 5-mark score for Matteo Grattarola in section number 1. Far from disastrous, of course, after scoring just a single mark in the opening section. Still 17 marks up on the provisional qualification cut-off is Matteo Grattarola. This is the main step of section 2. We've seen Jaime Busto, Benoit Bincaz and Adam Raga all halted here. It's Matteo Grattarola at the bottom, behind Angelo Colombo waiting at the top. for Matteo Grattarola to join him. If he can, surely he will make his way through to today's grand final. Grattarola is up. He snags a mark for leading, but he manages to hoist the bike forward. So it's still just a single dab for Grattarola as things stand. From here, it's all about focus and precision, but this is the easier half of section number 2. We saw that from Toby Martin earlier on already. He took a single mark in section 2. Grattarola takes a single mark in section 2 and books his place in the final, a first extra podium of Matteo Grattarola's career. No rest for Grattarola as he turns his focus to starting order for today's grand final. And unfortunately, his challenge is going to be made that much tougher by a 5-mark score here at section number 3. He made an initial step that he aborted, tried to jump back for another attempt, and FIM observer Moreno Piazza has signalled a 5-mark score, so Grattarola must have left the course boundaries there by the merest of margins, because it certainly wasn't obvious. But Grattarola takes a second 5 of this run. So 11 marks from 3 sections. Nothing like the outstanding low-scoring effort he managed in round number 1 with just a single mark. It's still 12 marks, though, from his total of 8 sections so far tonight, which is impressive nonetheless. Section 4, and he's hopping his way through these rocks pretty swiftly, is Matteo Grattarola. No rider has managed this section clean as yet. We saw single dabs for Martin, Busto and Raga, a 5 for Benoit Bincaz, but it's a clean for Matteo Grattarola, his first of the round, and that will certainly inspire confidence ahead of today's grand final, because it had been a tough couple of sections for Grattarola in the early stages of round 2. But what we saw from him there in the rocks, much more akin to what we saw from him in round number 1. Round 2 continuing then for Matteo Grattarola. Clean last time out. His cumulative total 12, so he can't now beat Adam Raga in terms of seeding position, or indeed in pursuit of a World Championship point in this second round. And this could well turn out to be for pride, barring any problems for Tony Beau next time out. All that remains then from round 2 is to see what Tony Beau can do. Greatest X-Trial rider of all time, 15 consecutive world titles stretching back to 2007. That, of course, his first season with Montesa. Even in recent injury-hit years, he hasn't looked like surrendering his place at the top. He was the top performer in round number 1, and it's 8 marks, the target total to beat if he wants to score a World Championship point, finishing top in round 2. For the moment, his focus on clearing through to today's grand final. A single mark or better in this one will be enough for Tony Beau. It has been straightforward for him so far. No rider yet has cleaned this one. We've seen 2 riders fail it. I don't think the same fate is going to befall Tony Beau, though. He's the first rider clean in section 1, and that's enough for him to book his place in today's grand final and on tonight's podium. In there now to section 2, another one that hasn't previously been cleaned tonight. Saw 3 riders fail it. Jaime Busto, Benoit Bincaz and Adam Raga, all at the main step that Beau is about to tackle. Toby Martin and Matteo Grattarola both showing that it can be done, but each taking a single mark for leading. Tony Beau clean in section number 1 and the first rider to do so, hoping to be the first rider clean as well through section number 2. Still just 1 mark dropped all night for Tony Beau. Section 2 then. Of that Montesa Honda at the bottom of the section. Customary sound for Tony Beau, who makes it up. He reaches the platform at the very top of the arena here in Nice. A little moment there where the platform was moving around under him and a slight wobble, but it's clutching at straws for Tony Beau's rivals at this stage. He looks impeccable once again, and it is 2 cleans in a row for Tony Beau. Still just 1 mark dropped from the 7 sections he's completed so far tonight. Now on to section number 3 for Tony Beau. Well, this one we have already seen cleaned by both Toby Martin and Adam Raga, but Jaime Busto and Matteo Grattarola failed it, so Beau can't afford to rest on his laurels. He's up to the highest point of the section now, and perhaps the most difficult step already achieved, and Beau making it look easy. A hat-trick of cleans then for Tony Beau, and Takisa Fujinami looks satisfied enough with that. Fujinami, of course, debuting as head of the Repsol Honda team tonight, taking over from Mikel Serrera, who announced his retirement in December after 46 years with the brand. In now to the penultimate section of round number 2 for Tony Beau. 2 marks or better here for Beau, and he'll guarantee a second World Championship point as winner of the second round tonight. And he'll also guarantee himself the advantageous last starting position for today's grand final. Beau looking in great comfort, looking assured on the sections. You wouldn't bet against him adding a 12th consecutive extra victory in tonight's grand final. For the moment, the focus on section 4 as Tony Beau guarantees a second World Championship point of 2022. He will be the top seed to today's grand final, and section 5 now is just for pride. Tony Beau raises his hand, calls for support from the crowd. As a little bit of showmanship can begin now that the job is done for Beau. Bridges to the second island of trunks here in section number 5. Still clean in round 2, and I'm sure he'll want to maintain that record. May well do it on the back wheel on the way towards the exit gate here. Tony Beau, a little bit scrappy in the end, actually. Thankfully for him, gets his front wheel out of the section gate. Just a single mark there for footing. The first 3-rider grand final since 2008. The points reset for a head-to-head between the podium trio for Extra Nice, 1 section at a time. 2 brand new sections to start us off. Then 3 of the remaining 4 must be completed in both directions, so time becomes more of an issue the further we go through this final. First up, Matteo Grattarola, who already has some great memories of Extra Nice. He finished 5th here in 2013, the best result of his debut Extra season. He won a bronze medal with Italy here at the Extra of Nations in 2016, and he takes the first Extra podium of his career here tonight, making his way towards the final island of steps here in section number 1. This likely to be the toughest leap of what, as I said previously, is a brand new section for the grand final. Completed in the opposite direction earlier on in the night. Grattarola there lands it, but on the sump. So first drop mark, and he takes a second, a dab of his right foot, just to assure that he can make his way through to the exit gate. 2 drop marks in section 1. He's well inside with 15 seconds to spare in section number 1. Matteo Grattarola is up and running. Next up, Adam Raga. Now certain to extend his run of 38 consecutive Extras inside the top 3. Hasn't been off a podium in the Extra World Championship since Sheffield 2014. What an incredible run it's been at the top for the veteran Adam Raga. Which finishing position will it be on the podium, though, here this evening? An opportunity for him to move in front of Matteo Grattarola, who scored 2 marks in this section 1. The next step here for Adam Raga, critical. This is where Grattarola snagged his 2, 1 for leaning and 1 for footing. We see Adam Raga positioning himself carefully, makes the leap. Like Matteo Grattarola, is forced to land it on the sump. Can he now carry out this turn without the use of a foot? He's balanced himself gingerly on the bottom step of 3, and now twists and turns, and that's good from Adam Raga, who moves in front of Matteo Grattarola by a single mark. 10 seconds to spare in section number 1. Raga on 1, Grattarola on 2. Next up, Tony Beau, with an opportunity to take a clear lead of the X-Trial. But he's not going to capitalise on it. Drops a mark on the very first step of section 1, and that really is a surprise. We'd seen Grattarola and Raga struggle with the leap in the latter stages of section 1, but both of them breezed through the early stages, and it's caught Tony Beau out for a mark for leaning. So Beau has got to really regain his focus from here on in, and focus on the remaining 5 sections as opportunities to try and take the lead of Extra Nice. He's 1 ahead of Matteo Grattarola as things stand. The leap perfectly executed from Tony Beau. Well, after that initial error on the first step, a great recovery from the master. Now on to section number 2. As I said previously, this is another new one for the grand final. And certainly a disadvantage for Matteo Grattarola, starting first as he was 3rd seed at the end of round number 2. At one stage held 2nd position here tonight, and certainly competition for both Adam Raga and Tony Beau here this evening. Matteo Grattarola, who must now leap from this bottom A-frame towards the top, trying to settle the front tyre into a ridge on the edge of the module just to give himself a line, and then he's got a twist in the air to make that landing. His assistant giving him an indication as to the time available. 60 seconds, remember, for each section in the grand final. Grattarola drops his first mark of this section, has to take a dab with his left foot just to steady the ship at the end of the turn. From there on in, it should be fairly straightforward for Matteo Grattarola. He's got a rush at the end, 52 seconds, but he's done it. It's a single drop mark in section 2, a provisional total of 3 from his first 2 outings. Grattarola then on 3, Raga and Beau, both on a single drop mark after section 1. Adam Raga now embarks on section 2. Both he and Tony Beau past winners in X-Trial Nice. Adam Raga claiming the honours back in 2004. He's the only member of the lineup from that day still active at this level. 21 years, the last 20 of them inside the top 3, the medal positions at the FIM X-Trial World Championship. Section number 2 then for Adam Raga. See if he can avoid taking the mark that Matteo Grattarola accrued at last time out. Still haven't had a clean in this grand final. Tony Beau, of course, dropped a single mark like Adam Raga in section number 1. Raga here taking his time, trying to use a similar line to Matteo Grattarola, and it's a very similar line to Matteo Grattarola because, like the Italian, Raga has to put down his left foot just to complete the turn and stop himself from slipping backwards. So a single mark 2 for Adam Raga in section number 2. He returns to just a points advantage over Grattarola. Tony Beau with a second opportunity to take a clear lead here in X-Trial Nice. Consistently the man to beat at this venue. He's taken the X-Trial of Nations gold 3 times here for Spain. Also the winner of the last 2 editions of X-Trial Nice individually in 2013 and 2017. Matteo Grattarola and Adam Raga both needed a single dab of their left foot to make it up to the top A-frame here. Can Tony Beau avoid dropping a mark, become the first rider to clean a section in this grand final and take the lead of X-Trial Nice? Section 2, key moment here for Tony Beau. Fans watching on intently. Beau forces the bike up, drives forward, and Tony Beau has done it. Just this one final element for Beau to negotiate, but it should be plain sailing from here on in. Tony Beau then, with plenty of time on his side, completes section 2 and takes the lead of X-Trial Nice. It's 1 for Beau, 2 for Raga, and 3 for Grattarola as things stand. 4 sections remain, and the tension you could cut with a knife in such a low-scoring grand final. On now to section 3. This was section 2 earlier in the night, but it must now be tackled in both directions. Nobody even dropped a mark here in round 1, but it's the return that's trickier, and that was failed by 3 riders, including Adam Raga earlier on. Matteo Grattarola halfway through in section number 3. Oh, overslides on the turn and takes a dab of his right foot to avoid going down, and that's going to be a lost mark for footing there for Matteo Grattarola. Might have been on the turn, but it is still a part of the course in these return directions. So Grattarola will rue that costly error, and a rather unforced one as well. This is the biggest challenge of this section 3 in the grand final. Grattarola is up. Single drop mark for leaning, just as he dropped earlier on in the night. But from here it should be plain sailing. It's going to be tight on time. Grattarola through with 6 seconds to spare. 54 seconds for Matteo Grattarola and a 2-mark score in section 3. He's hanging on in there, the Italian. Adam Raga now 3 marks ahead of Matteo Grattarola. Trails Tony Beau by a single dab. The pair separated by their scores from section number 2. Little to choose between our 3 competitors thus far. This is a crucial section for Adam Raga. He's got to pull off something that he couldn't in round number 2. These initial A-frames in the return direction and the ramp pointing downwards up to the main step of section 3, where Adam Raga failed in round 2. The only fiasco of the night so far for the 39-year-old in the colours of TRS. Key moment then for Raga coming up. He drops down onto the ramp. Now he's got to try and make this step. We've seen a few riders manage it already. We saw Matteo Grattarola manage it in this grand final. Adam Raga, it's now or never for him. Time ticking away, and Raga's chance is falling away as well. It's a 5-mark score in section 3. The first fiasco for any rider in this grand final. It goes the way of Adam Raga, who drops to the bottom of the pile on 7 marks from 3 sections. And a golden opportunity now for Tony Beau to extend his lead. He was only 1 mark up on Adam Raga after 2 sections, only 2 marks up on Matteo Grattarola. He leads Grattarola by 4 as things stand. Section number 3 then for Tony Beau. We've already seen him make it past the step that has caught out Adam Raga there in the last ride. Tony Beau with an opportunity then to capitalise and potentially move 6 marks clear of Adam Raga at the halfway mark in this grand final. Return direction then. Carlos Bernardo watching on and waiting for Tony Beau to leap across the first A-frame, which he does, landing it perfectly. And now the key moment, section number 3. Urged on by the crowd here in the Palais Nicaea, it's Tony Beau, former winner of Extra Nice, of course. Up he goes, and he's done it, and all on the back wheel without dropping a mark for leaning. Superb from Tony Beau. And Beau makes his way to the exit gate, a second consecutive clean, the first rider to clean section 2, the first rider to clean section 3, to extend a 4-mark lead at the halfway point in this grand final. Now, in a new system for 2022, the riders line up in the order of their ranking after each section of the final. So with Adam Raga dropping to the bottom of the pile, he now takes over as the first rider in to section 4. Thankfully for Raga, it's familiar territory, a repeat of section 3 from round 2. Adam Raga dropping a mark, though, there for leaning as he makes his way up to the top of the cylinder. That will be a source of frustration because Raga was able to clean this section in the second round. Not this time around in the grand final. He adds another dab. A couple of challenging sections for Adam Raga, who now sits on 8 marks with 2 remaining. Matteo Grattarola's main nemesis tonight. This step that saw him drop back to a 5 in round 2. He's passed it in the grand final. Super riding all evening long from Matteo Grattarola. The chips are down with a battle on for second position as things stand. Grattarola leads Adam Raga by 3 marks and looking to convert them here. This step where Adam Raga took a single mark for leaning. Matteo Grattarola leans back and he too slips down onto the sump. That will be a single mark for leaning for Matteo Grattarola. If he avoids dropping any further marks here, he will still lead Adam Raga by 2 marks with 2 sections still to come. Grattarola taking his time. He's got plenty in the bank. This is a relatively straightforward section, a short one at least in terms of time, and Grattarola is through. Matching Raga in section 2, matching Raga in section 4. He leads him by 6 marks to 8. Tony Beau, though, still on just a single mark after back-to-back cleans in sections 2 and 3. Can he make it a hat-trick in section 4? He was able to clean the last 2 sections that neither rider had been able to do so before him. And looking to do the same here. Grattarola and Raga both dropped a single mark for leaning on this step. Carlos Bernardo directing Tony Beau where he wants him at the highest element of this section 4. Beau is up, and he's up on the back wheel, and he lands the front wheel where he needs to, makes the turn. This is going to be a swift ride through section 4 for Tony Beau, his 3rd clean of the grand final. He is still the only rider to have managed to clean in this grand final, that he leads by 5 marks with 2 sections remaining. On section 5 for Adam Raga. This one a repeat of section 4 from the opening round. It was pretty straightforward earlier in the night, but it is a technical challenge, and it's one that needs to be rushed in the final with 2 directions to tackle here. And you can see that Adam Raga has taken exactly that approach. He's swiftly through the first quarter of section 5, and some great work there on the back wheel. Elegantly done from Adam Raga to make it to the halfway stage in this penultimate grand final section. Adam Raga on 8 marks, 2 down on Matteo Grattarola, who will follow him through the rocks. Raga a little bit short perhaps on the landing there, but he did enough to surge his way forward and still looking good. Through a series of islands that comprise this rock course, section number 5. Adam Raga cannot afford a failure here, of course, because it would leave him with a great deal of work to do in the remaining section and relying on Matteo Grattarola struggling through it. But it doesn't look as though that fate's going to befall him. Raga perfecting section 5, his first clean of this grand final, and long awaited for him. He's on 8 marks now with a single ride to come. And that really does heap the pressure onto Matteo Grattarola, who can afford a maximum of a single mark here to remain in front of Adam Raga. 6 marks to 8, the current scoreline. Grattarola even faster than Raga in the early stages of section 5 here. Oh, misjudgment, and down goes Grattarola. And that could be a turning point in this grand final for the Italian hopeful. He waves with a smile on his face to the crowd, but Matteo Grattarola drops his first fiasco of the final, and onto an 11-mark score. He trails Adam Raga now by 3 marks. Well, those last 2 results mean that Tony Beau could confirm victory here at Extra-Nice if he can score a single mark or better now in section 5. He has a 7-mark lead over Adam Raga, and of course a 10-mark lead over Matteo Grattarola. Halfway mark in the penultimate section for Beau. We saw just how quickly things can turn around in the night for Matteo Grattarola. Single drop mark there for leading. Any more drop marks and we'll go down to the final section for Tony Beau. If he's clean from here on in, that will be good enough for him to be confirmed the winner of Extra-Nice. He's not hanging around, is he? Some real speed being shown here. Raga made it through in 56 seconds. Tony Beau slightly faster than his closest rival. Tony Beau is through in 52 seconds with 1 drop mark in section 5 to confirm victory at Extra-Nice and the 70th Extra victory of his World Championship career. Top spot now settled. We turn our focus back to the battle for P2. And at the moment that's held by Adam Raga. Matteo Grattarola, this man first out into section 6, 3 marks behind him. So any more than 2 drop marks in section 6 for Grattarola and he would be consigned to 3rd place. Some good early work there on the back wheel as he makes his way through the trunks. We saw the exit of this section challenging earlier on, but Grattarola with a good line through there and a slightly different one to what we've seen from some of the other riders, using more of the horizontal trunk on his way out. Swift in the return direction now for Grattarola. Knows how quickly these sections need to be achieved with 2 directions to overcome in the grand final stage. Makes the turn on the back wheel. Oh, he's overreached and down goes Grattarola. A 2nd consecutive fiasco, and that settles the positions tonight. Matteo Grattarola 3rd on 16. Adam Raga cannot be caught in 2nd. Tony Beau with an unassailable lead at the top of the tree. The 2 remaining rides then just for pride. First up, Adam Raga to see if he can make it through section 6. Failed previously by Matteo Grattarola. And wry grin of frustration in the end for Grattarola, who will be satisfied enough with 3rd position tonight, but will also know that it could have been more. Just a couple of errors in the final 2 sections. Not used to having to ride sections in 2 directions. His first appearance in the grand final, of course. Now our focus is on Adam Raga, who is very much up against it in terms of time here in section number 6, and even more so because he was taking his time there and he's had to take a dab as well. The left foot goes down, the front wheel was slipping down the side of the, effectively a cylinder here on the trunk. And Raga with very little time now on the clock. I don't think he's going to be able to make it unless he can pull off something very special here indeed. Oh, and the front wheel slips down, off to the right of the section and out. Down and out for a 5-mark score with which he ends his grand final. But it's 2nd place for Adam Raga tonight. And after fiasco in section 3 left him bottom of the pile, that's a decent recovery. Over to Tony Beau then for a little bit of showmanship. His 95th X-Trial appearance, his 70th X-Trial win, and his 3rd here in Extra-Nice. Already the winner under the roof of the Palais Nicaea in 2013 and 2017. Tony Beau has done it again tonight. Very quick in the outbound direction. He'll have known, having watched Grattarola and Raga, that this is a section where time is utterly critical. Taking his time though now on the turn is Tony Beau. He's got plenty in the bank and he uses some of it to ask for the encouragement of the spectators who respond positively here in the Palais Nicaea. Tony Beau, how is he going to tackle the final trunks of section number 6? This section failed by Grattarola and Raga, leapt by Tony Beau. Oh, and Beau in superb fashion is going to do a 180 through the exit gate to complete section 6 clean and take an emphatic 11-mark victory margin. 2 for Tony Beau, 13 for Adam Raga, 16 for Matteo Grattarola. Your final scores. So Tony Beau is top in all 3 runs and by the most commanding margin of 11 marks in the final. Just 4 marks dropped from 16 sections all night in another dominant performance from the champion.